the strangest feeling to know what to believe in. Cause every time you touch me, I can't control my body. Oh, baby, you are on my mind, all I think about, and I don't wanna stop.
From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another conversation with Trent and friends, featuring the lovely Coach Dee. Hey, listen, last week I was under the weather, and I got a comment from the viewer earlier today. It stated that Dee took advantage of that. She knew I was under the weather and took advantage of it. I found that quite funny, but I was under the weather. I'm feeling better today, so today is better. We're going to get into this topic. Topic for tonight, struggle love, and why is it glorified? Coach Dee and I are going to get into some gumbo talk about struggle love. Normally, when we think about struggle love, we think about finances, but it's a whole different side to that. So it's a couple different compartments to struggle love, but we're also going to talk about taking responsibility for the toxic you brought into the party. That's right, using your inner mirror. Let's bring Coach Dee in one sec.
Hey there.
Hey, what's going on?
So I took advantage of you while I had the flu, please.
That's what I was told. He said he started to throw the towel in for me. So I was like, nah, I'm good. He's like, yeah, you could tell you wasn't feeling well. I said, well, Coach Dee, knowing me, she did it, and so I didn't feel like debating and whatnot. But pretty much it was a compliment to you because you was on your A game even with the flu. So
Yeah.
kudos to the lovely Coach Dee. What's going on with you?
It is Mr. Mann's 10th birthday tomorrow. So I'm feeling a little, where did the 10 years go? He's in double digits. But
that time flies.
Yeah, so I'm trying to embrace some joy because I had a client earlier today that just took everything I had out of me. And I'm like, you know what? I got to start charging people more money for this because this is like, y'all need therapy. I need to acknowledge that you need therapy because, life coaching isn't therapy.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
A lot of people think so, but it's not. Let me ask you something, though. Why do you think that people run away from trauma? Because getting therapy, you're going to have to face you. You're going to have to turn that mirror, inward mirror in. Why do people have a difficult time getting therapy and facing trauma?
There's a couple of reasons. One reason is to them it means they're broken. Mm-hmm. And another reason is sometimes it means their parents that they love so much did not do a good job.
Right.
And those are two very difficult things to admit.
Right.
So, and getting therapy doesn't mean you're broken. Getting therapy means you're just tweaking some things.
And honestly, the way I look at therapy, once you get therapy, you're the strongest person in the room. You're the strongest mm-hmm. person in your family. That's very strong to face your fears. There's nothing wrong with facing your fears.
Yeah. Because remember, most people are in therapy because they have to deal with people who need therapy and didn't get it.
True.
Right?
True. So let's talk about this struggle love and why is it glorified? Mm-hmm. First of all, when we talk about struggle love, we think about struggle love. We talk to our friends or whatever, and we talk about how they're struggling in a relationship and all this stuff. I know for me, over the years, I had this one friend who was married for about 20 years, right? And I mean, the struggle love was just strong. And I was like, well, why don't you just leave? I can't throw away these 20 years like that. I can't just give it up like that. I can't give up on it like that. Well, if he's been cheating 15 of those 20 years, you've only had 5 years of good years. Yeah. It's not rocket science.
Yeah. and add into their the feeling of failure and shame, right? Because especially if they go to church, because
Exactly.
churches will advise you and counsel you not to leave when everybody and their dog knows he shouldn't have been in that marriage to begin with. Like how many times we've been to weddings and placed bets on how long it's going to last, right?
Before we get into the gumbo talk, let's dig into this comment
Oh,
section here. Let's say what's up to Slash.
Grand Rising Melanie people, greetings Princess Coach D and Mr. Epic. Good greetings to you too, Mr. Slash. Hope you're having a
What up,
wonderful week.
Slash? Hey, speaking of Slash, did you see Slash? He commented on TikTok from one of our promo videos. He said the only time, I think he said in the year, that I'm gonna agree with Princess Coach Di.
What did I did not read anything. What did he say?
You didn't let me get to the TikTok real quick. Let me pull it up. I don't want to misquote the good brother.
Are me and Slash gonna fight tonight?
No, no, no. It was a compliment.
I think he just loves to try to get me going. I'm sorry. He wants to see how much of a redhead I really am.
Uh-oh. 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 Let's see where that comment's at. One sec. Slash is always supporting. Here we go. Let's get to it real quick. Okay, he says, I have to agree for once this year with with Princess Coach D. That's beyond selfish and one-way desire. Sounds like something a needy man commits to. What he was talking about, I on the promo, I cut a clip
Mhm.
from when you said what your ex said to you about the need.
Yeah.
So I shared that. So he made a comment. He said for once a year he's gonna agree with you. So he agreed with you on that comment you made.
I'll go buy a lottery ticket.
Stop.
I won't share if I win either. Wouldn't even know. So Slash says, I've heard of jungle love by the time, not sure what this struggle lifestyle consists of. So well let's define what struggle love is for them there.
Absolutely. Absolute struggle love, the what they're defining is it's a one-sided relationship where one partner has their life together and the other don't, and they're constantly leaning on that partner, which is one part of it. But struggle love, as we were talking backstage, there's a couple of different compartments to struggle love. It's not just about finances.
Hmm.
You want to dig a little deeper on that?
Struggle love is really codependent love.
Do tell.
So they're codependent because everybody thinks, oh, struggle love, it's all about money. You can have all the money in the world and still have a struggle love relationship. Because what happens is people don't know how to love. People are not, a lot of time we're not taught how to love. We're not taught
Mm-hmm.
how to communicate. And there's all this trauma behind it. So then you get into a cycle with people and you pick people that you can tolerate, not people that you should be with. Not
Mm.
everybody is your person.
So what you're saying, decisions, right? You're talking about decisions, right?
Yeah.
Just like I opened up early in the program, I was talking about we're going to have to dig into taking personal responsibility as well,
Mhm.
making the decision to deal with that struggle love. At some point you have to, you know, take responsibility for the toxic you brought into the party. You invited it into the party.
Mhm.
So, and that's on both sides of the spectrum,
Mhm.
men
Yeah,
and women.
yeah. It's when I talk struggle love, it's just straight generalities, includes both sexes, um, and all gender identities. So what it is
Absolutely.
when you have somebody, when you have two people who are in a relationship, and they're not really meant to be together. They're be together because it's easy to be together versus saying no to whatever story they have in their head about this relationship they're in. Right?
Hmm.
Some people, oh, we've been together since we're high school students. You know what? If you've been together with somebody since you were 16, 17, and now in your 40s, and you've changed over those years, and that other person has changed over the years, and you haven't either gone to counseling or gotten therapy, and now you're just at each other's throats, you
Right,
need to
right,
leave.
right.
That's no longer
You
healthy
know what's so
for them.
funny? It's funny that you bring that up. I was
Mhm.
talking to a friend of mine who was in a relationship with a friend from years past, right?
Right.
But they're older now and things went wrong. So I'm talking to her and whatnot. And she was like, well, he's not the same person. I was like, he's that same person at 17 is not the same person at 50.
Yeah.
That's a totally different person that you're dealing with. That's a completely different animal.
Yeah.
So you can't go into the relationship thinking you're going to get that same person at 17 because people are not going to get Trent at 18, 19, 20. Now it's a different person. I've transformed.
There was an article somewhere I read years ago where this older gentleman, somebody asked this older gentleman who's been married like 75 years, what was the key? And he goes, I married one person who has changed multiple times. I've been married to 10
Exactly.
different people in this relationship. And he says
Exactly.
all about perfect acceptance of an imperfect person.
That's it, man. That's it. And we have to be honest about that. When a person actually changes on us, they're just transforming. They're not changing, they're transforming
Yeah.
they're growing into themselves.
Yeah.
But you
As we
have to
get,
know exactly what you're dealing with and be honest about it. Don't be negotiating with yourself. If you don't want to be there, leave.
but so many people get stuck in the story that they can't leave. Like, what will my family say? What will society say? And they're like, and I'm like, you know what? You need to do what makes you happy, because our
Exactly.
bodies absorb toxin, and the toxic energy around it is absorbed in our bodies.
What
Usually
does
in our
that look
neck and
like, Coach
everything.
D? What does that look like?
It looks like tight muscles. Like, we know how when we get stressed, we tight up, and you get those knots in the back of your neck and between your shoulder blades,
Like
right?
what I'm going through right now with the
Yeah.
tendonitis. Yeah.
Like, everybody knows if they've gone into a room and there's somebody there they don't want to be around with, either their body tenses up or their energy starts to get drained, right?
Right, right, right.
Well, this is what happens in some relationships, that people are in relationships they shouldn't be in. Sometimes you're better friends than you are a couple, and it
Absolutely.
takes a lot to understand that, right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
a lot of
Absolutely.
people get so caught up in this Disney princess story that's shoved down our throats that they don't realize that that's not what love looks like.
Exactly. I knew some of the viewers were going to be thinking about finances.
Yeah.
Break down the different components to struggle love. Let's not, we could talk about the finances, but let's talk about the struggle love and
Money,
why.
yeah.
Go
Money
ahead.
only money or lack of money only emphasizes the issues that are already existing.
One more
Right?
time for the people in the back who didn't hear you.
Money or the lack of money only emphasize the issues that are already existing. So if you can't
Absolutely.
communicate, it doesn't matter if you have all the money in the world or no money, you still can't communicate, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if there's plenty of people you see on these reality shows who can't handle money or communicate.
Absolutely.
And it's not the money that's breaking the relationships up, it's the communication issues. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We have to allow each other to be our authentic selves and be
Exactly.
okay with them being their authentic selves. Right? Like, I'm
Exactly.
quirky and eccentric and funny as heck when I want to be. But if you don't allow that, then we won't be in a relationship, because I won't dim my light for anybody. I've done that. Been there,
Boom. That
got the
part.
picture. It doesn't work. Right?
Absolutely. So let's talk about the struggle love, how people gravitate to that and they actually make that a badge of honor when they talk about what they've gone through, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
That's
Hey
that's
Dee, I see you. Demetra Modem. How you doing? She says hello. How you doing,
yeah,
Dee? Good stuff.
yeah. And that's, you said exactly it. They make it a badge of honor. Look
Yeah,
what
because
we've gone through.
I think that's the most idiotic shit I've ever
Yeah.
heard. Why do you make that out of a bad? We've been through so much. Well, damn, like I said in the opening piece, if you were together for 20 years and he cheated on you for 15 years, you've only had 5 years of good time.
And those
You
probably
shouldn't
five
be
years
wearing a badge of
you were
honor,
cheating, you just didn't know.
pretty much.
Right? But here's the problem. The problem is, in society, so many people go, well, I survived it, you can too. Like, society tells other people that they project that trauma onto others. Like, you
Right.
hear it all the time, like, my parents beat me, I'm fine. I'm like, no, you're not fine. You're saying it's okay to pop a 1-year old. That's not fine, sir. If I go to
Exactly.
work and hit you, you're not going to be happy about it. Why would you do it to somebody who doesn't have a voice? So we have this cycle where it's perpetuated. And if you look at the black exploitation video movies of the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, it's all about bad relationships with a lack of communication, lack of trust,
Right.
lack of vulnerability, lack of emotional
Right.
intimacy, right? You don't see Hallmark movies, or not recently, where it's two black people and it's a Hallmark movie. You know,
Honestly, I've
think
never seen
about
a
that,
Black Hallmark movie.
right? So
Yeah,
it's all about perpetuating the myth of um, how struggling through your relationship is a good thing.
that's
Even
not a good
music,
thing, man. I mean,
no.
think about it. When we think about unconditional love, right?
Mhm,
Unconditional love is not a struggle. Unconditional love is something that'll flow freely
mhm,
and flow effortlessly. It's not a struggle. It's not an uphill battle.
yeah,
If I love you unconditionally, it's not gonna. I won't have to force myself to love you. It's
yeah,
unconditional through your flaws. I will love you through your flaws. That's not forced. That's not a tug of war. If I
yeah.
love you unconditionally, that's what it is. I love you unconditionally.
I laugh because I talk to so many people, especially since I just finished a relationship course. All of a sudden, everybody was talking to me about it.
Right.
Uh, some people
Oh,
are to,
so you finished the course.
mhm, yeah,
Good
I am
stuff. Good
certified.
stuff. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I have more certified certifications than probably possibly needed ever, but
Exactly.
it's
I got to get
staying up
back
to
and
date with
recertify.
things that are going on. But here's the thing:
Go
everybody,
ahead.
does everybody remember that video that came out? The lady who's cooking with her granddaughter in the kitchen. They're making chicken salad, and Pop Pop comes in and she asks him if she wants to make a sandwich and all
Oh
this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. What's that commercial? What was that commercial?
I don't. I think it was on TikTok. I'm not. It's TikTok or YouTube or something. Anyway,
Hmm.
so Pop Pop looks at her. He goes, "It needs a little spice," and leans in for a kiss, and she's already ready. So there's a video other than them about how they how they are still in so much in love, and they said
Right.
they always talk, and people don't
Communication.
realize that talking is at this tone, not screaming
Exactly.
your head off each other,
Exactly.
right?
Look
It's
like
all
Slash has a comment real quick. Let's get to it real quick.
there's that word happiness. A wise man wrote, "Happiness is temporary, but joy is everlasting. We find and create our own happiness. A partner doesn't bring happiness; they should bring about peace." Man, you might have to agree again. Slash.
Wait,
I'm
this is a
definitely.
moment. This
Yeah,
this this is a moment. This is a
yeah,
moment. You agree with
yeah.
Slash?
Yeah, I do. Slash and I agree on a lot of things. I think he just likes to poke the bear sometimes,
Poke the
get
bear.
Mama Bear upset. So here's the thing. He's so very right. The problem is so many people are looking for happiness in their partner. That's why
Right.
if you ever hear somebody say, "You complete me," one, run,
Exactly.
because we're all are already whole and complete, right?
Exactly.
You should compliment them, right?
Exactly. The one thing I would add to his comment though is also bringing the peace. Make sure you bring your personal chisel because
Mm.
you're gonna constantly work on yourself within the
People, you don't have to
relationship.
tell, but people who bring peace already do that. You don't have to tell them that. They already do
No,
it. It's
true.
come,
True. True.
there's a huge difference between people who are secure in the work of themselves and
Right.
knowledgeable and aware about themselves and people who aren't. Like you can feel it when you're around them because the energy is different, right?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
I remember thinking, I was watching an interview. Keanu Reeves was on an interview with I forget who it was, and they had this big thing of puppies, right? Now
Right.
they were all talking about something before he came out, and the puppies were all running all over the place doing puppy stuff, right? As
Hmm.
soon as he came out, all those puppies at one time, woof, and knocked the wall over to get to him because he just exudes peace
Right.
and calmness. Like this man has been through some stuff in his life, but he still
Exactly.
exudes like peace because he's aware of who he is. And a lot of people
It's a
aren't.
beautiful thing, man. That's really a beautiful thing. And I wish that everybody could experience that when you get that level of peace.
It'll get you in trouble
It's,
with TSA dogs, though. Because more than once I've had one lead up against me for some pets, and I'm like, I have nothing. They're like, no, he just wants pets, and I'm like, yeah, we can't do
right,
this,
right,
today,
right,
puppy. You're making me
right.
nervous. But you know what?
Like Science had a follow up. One sec.
Uh, when did infidelity become the end all be all, the straw that broke the bull's back? We're not perfect people. We go and grow through highs and lows, perks and valleys, and sin is not greater. Ah, because you're missing the very one. Infidelity is a trauma. It's a betrayal trauma. Infidelity causes pain. It causes a lack of trust, right? If you want to cheat on somebody, leave, because you have harmed that person in such a way that their basis of who they are has now been hit,
Right.
right? And a lot of people think, oh, I'm just cheating is no big deal. I'm like, yeah, well, when somebody cheats on you, it's a lot big deal though. So if you
Let's talk about taking personal responsibility for the toxic you made the decision to bring into the party, right? We talk about struggle love. 9 times out of 10, we go into these relationships. I know I have. Personally, I have. I've seen the red flags beforehand. I've seen the red flags, but I ignored the red flag because that's what I wanted.
yeah,
Let's talk about that. Taking responsibility for the toxic you bring into your own party. I invited the toxic in because I ignored the red flags in the beginning.
yeah, I talked to so many people and they're like, oh, well, I could ignore that then. I'm like, if you ignore it then, you have to ignore it now, right? If you're with somebody, if you're a neat freak and that person's a slob, they're still going to
Right.
be a slob.
It's still gonna be a slob. Don't matter. It doesn't matter if he says I do or if she says I do. She's still a slob. He's still a slob.
Yeah.
They're not gonna change with that one.
Yeah. If you ever say the word, oh, they'll change, just walk away, because nobody's going to change
Exactly.
without them wanting to change. And
You
too
know,
often we have this
early on in
idea of,
relationships, I've always went in for a want. Or I'd
Mhm.
say, oh, I could fix that. I was always
Yeah.
a fixer. I could fix that
Yeah.
because I ignored the red flags in the beginning. You know, knowing damn well I couldn't fix it.
Yeah, because
Knowing damn well I couldn't.
we get this idea of who they could be instead of who they are. So when people look at
Exactly.
me like, oh, but D, you need to build them up, I'm like, no, they need to know who they are before they can figure out who they can be.
Exactly.
Right?
I want you to address this comment from Demetria. I want you to really answer her
Demetria
directly.
says, I'm burnt out being in relationships, can't trust anyone. Again, trust is earned. It's when you've been hurt and you've been betrayed, you start to question your own ability to see the red flags. And what I always tell people is, if you
One
can't
more
trust
time.
people,
Before you go forward, one more time. Run that back.
uh, the ability to see the red flags, you don't trust your
No,
own ability
you
to.
start to question your own ability to.
Yeah, yeah. So here's the thing: when you start questioning yourself, everything is a red flag. Like even something simple as sending you flowers. Well, why is he sending flowers? What's he doing that for? What you know? There's questions behind everything. So that's why I tell people you have to thoroughly heal before you can move on to another relationship. If you can't trust, you need to build that trust. You have to tell that
Exactly.
person what your boundaries are. If that person is not willing to stay within those boundaries, then walk away.
There it is.
Right? It's all
There it
about
is.
negotiation. What is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Right?
But when we go into these, come out of these relationships, and we start negotiating with ourselves, that means we have to go back into the woodshed, man. We
Mhm.
got to go heal a little bit more.
Yeah.
But we can't just go from relationship to relationship. This side of the trusting part just piles on. It
Yeah.
becomes a burden to you because you can't trust anyone.
Yeah. And
You just gotta take your
you
time.
have to go deeper than those shallow, oh, they need to be 6 feet tall, they need to have a car, and they need to have a house. No, you need to go deeper into that.
One more time for the people in the back who didn't hear you.
You need to go deeper than they're 6 feet tall, they have a car, they have a house, they have a job, all this stuff. All those things can be
Exactly.
great and they can be the biggest jerk walking, right? And have
Pretty
absolutely
much.
zero communication skills and no emotional intelligence whatsoever. Right? Not everybody else is ready for a relationship with you either.
Exactly. There you go.
He says, life isn't cut and dry or black and white. Cheating comes in many different forms and categories. No one follows the wedding vows to the letter. Does one mistake, whether big or small. You're missing what I said, sir.
Oh, here we
Cheating
go.
is trauma. You don't excuse trauma. You've caused trauma to another person, then you need to sort yourself out and figure out why you're willing to harm and cause trauma to others. Because the
Well,
person you're
I could
cheating
actually
with
speak on.
is,
I could
is
actually speak
has
on that
issues as
piece of
well.
it.
Go
I'm
ahead.
agreeing with you, Coach D, because I could speak on that because I was a cheater at one time,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to figure out what was going on with me in the end. So I get that. I get
Yeah,
it.
it's
I get it. And I had to
people.
take personal responsibility
Yeah.
for the hurt that I caused. And I get it. Once you figure it out, you become a better person.
It says uproot the family structure based upon infidelity. If so, when did that become the end all be all? Sir, let me tell you what you're doing. If you are cheating on your spouse, your children know, and you have taught your children to cheat on their spouses. That it's okay. That being causing trauma and hurt to others is okay.
Right. Now, I'm not saying that if you cheat, that's just the relationship is doomed. If the other person, if the cheater is actually apologetic and you feel to believe that that person is apologetic and you guys can move forward, but you have to place everything on the table first.
Are they apologetic because they got caught? Because they were
That's
not
a good
apologetic
question.
when they were cheating.
That's a good question. But if the person's apologetic and he's showing through his action, he
Mhm.
or she is showing through their actions,
Yeah.
not say give it a try. But
It,
if you don't want to, that's totally up to you.
it,
That's your
yeah.
thing.
If they're willing to do honest work and counseling and therapy and all that good stuff, have at her.
Exactly.
I give you
And
all. I
make
give you
sure
two all the credit.
make sure when you're making the decision to go back to that cheater
Yeah.
that you're being honest with yourself
Yeah.
and look for the action, not look for the words. Don't look for what he or she is telling you. Look for the action in that person
Yeah.
toward you.
The person who's been cheated on won't believe them anyway, because they've caused that harm. They've
Right.
broken that trust.
I
And
agree.
once you've broken that trust, it is work to get it back. And not everybody's
Exactly.
willing to do that work, right?
That's
So
right.
if you and here's the thing, if you do all that work and they cheat again, how about it? They showed you who you were the first time. They obviously weren't doing the work, because a lot of people who are cheating are very able. You already know they're quite able to lie to you and make it
Right.
believable. So if they're doing the work, are they honestly doing the work? Or are they just playing the game to get to where they need?
So
Right?
let's talk about another side of struggle love.
Mm-hmm.
So when we were actually backstage, you were talking about the finances, not the only part to it. Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about a different side of struggle love.
What side would that be?
Either way, well, whichever you decide.
I don't see. I try to keep talking about money out of relationship because people get caught up in it. Because when they get caught up in the money, they don't understand all the other stuff that's involved, like
Exactly.
the emotional intelligence, like the open space of vulnerability to share. The so currently we're so caught up in this male alpha male nonsense and beta males and all this ridiculousness which doesn't exist in
Right.
humankind because we're primal creatures.
If
And
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that we need to stop looking around us and look inside and figure out where we are, what we
Exactly.
really want, and what we really need.
Exactly. I'm glad you brought up the emotional intelligence, right?
Hmm.
And that goes on. I go on to say this: as far as emotional intelligence, you know damn well that person does not have emotional intelligence from the onstart.
No.
You know, if that person cannot give you emotional intelligence, you shouldn't be going into the relationship.
Oh yeah. And so many
Those
people have
red flags are up front
yeah,
for a reason.
so many people have a lack of emotional intelligence that they don't realize that when you have an emotional intelligence, you're you look at the world differently. You look at the world as
Absolutely.
interconnectedness, and that how what happens with one person can affect other people. Like
Absolutely.
you see it on the social media all the time. They call them snowflakes, or people who are
Right.
concerned about what's happening to others.
Right.
And right now, the pendulum is swinging in a very bad direction,
Right.
and the lack of current concern and care is um, it's concerning, to be honest, because there are
Right.
people who are willingly talking about the execution of others without even blinking an eye.
Absolutely. It's funny that you would bring that up. I was watching this video on Instagram where this guy broke into this family's home and he started robbing them. So the husband comes downstairs and they struggle for a bit. But at the latter part of the video, the guy's talking to him, asking him, why is he doing what he's doing? And the robber's actually crying. But in the comment section, these people talking about off with his head. Maybe the guy who was being robbed saw that this guy was in a broken place and decided to actually help him out as far as telling him, talking to him instead of pulling out the gun and shooting him. But
That's
everybody in the comment section was off with his head, I'd have killed him, blah, blah, blah.
So many people don't realize what happens to you after you kill somebody.
Exactly.
People think that that's not a big deal, that it's like killing a deer. It's not. It's completely different.
You know what's so funny?
Your brain does a whole different thing.
What was so magnifying about that video I watched, the guy who was being robbed was more emotional. I heard the compassion in this guy's voice talking to this crying robber.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. Mark has another comment here.
There's a lot of pain in the world.
Absolutely, I agree.
Life is about learning and learning ourselves. We have friends that have experienced trauma in different forms also. Should the family, including kids, mortgages, retirement, school, and nutrition? What? I don't...
One more time. Let me see.
It's life about learning and learning ourselves. We have friends that have experienced trauma in different forms also. Should the family, including kids, mortgages, retirement, school, and tradition?
Oh, there's a part two to that.
Should the kids suffer based upon one's parent's decision to then go it alone, causing a Tyler Perry movie plot? Tyler Perry movie plots are black exploitation films, sir. It's all about struggle.
I'm glad somebody else said that. I'm glad somebody else said it.
They're not about happy relationships.
They're really not.
And kids suffer more when parents stay together who shouldn't be together.
Again,
people don't understand what they're doing to their kids, the trauma they're causing.
Exactly. Again, I don't believe that, people should stay in relationships for the kids. They should not stay in relationships for the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be a little transparent here. As far as me, when I decided to leave Michigan and leave my daughter behind, I did that to heal her because she had witnessed 3 years of being without her mother in the home with me. So when I walked away for Kennedy. I walked away for Kennedy. But if I would have stayed in that toxic relationship, we're going to make this work, we're going to make it better, knowing I couldn't get past the cheat, I would have been lying to myself and hurting my daughter in the same process.
Yeah, because when you look at it this way, when you're in a relationship that's not working, those kids are seeing that. People do not give kids the credit that they deserve.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Kids know exactly what's going on.
So, like I said, when you walk away from the relationship, you're walking away for your child. You're not walking away from your child.
Yeah.
My daughter's in a better place mentally now because I walked away.
Yeah. The problem is, it's not that breaking up harms the kids. It's that parents who are then broken up can't co-parent like adults.
Absolutely.
That causes the harm.
Absolutely. I had to learn that.
Stuff.
I had to learn that through life's bumps and bruises, on this road called life, because we didn't co-parent, as you know, you were there. We didn't co-parent effectively in the beginning because I couldn't get over the cheat. We didn't co-parent, but talking to you and having those conversations, those adult conversations with you, really walked me through that to where, hey, it's not even about Teresa, it's about Kennedy.
Yeah.
Let's get Kennedy straight first mentally. Then we can get you straight. So,
yeah. I tell anybody, if you're going through a divorce, put your kids in therapy right away. Put your kids in therapy right away because they are watching, and so many kids will blame themselves because the parents won't have conversations with their children.
Right? I can't agree with if you can't get over the cheat, leave. If you can't get over the cheat, leave.
Yep.
And that's my recommendation to any relationship that have, dealt with infidelity and you're still there struggling and that struggle love. If you cannot get over the cheat, get out of there.
Yep. And don't tell people to stay. That's my biggest pet peeve is telling people to stay in toxic, unhealthy relationships.
Exactly.
Right?
So
Because
since we
then
talked
they
about
look back later and they're like, they wasted so much time.
exactly, since we talked about the struggle of infidelity and all that good stuff, let's talk about I'd rather struggle alone.
Mhm.
To me, that is crazy. When you talk about struggling alone, we talk about choices of a single parent. We talk about struggling alone. If you're gonna struggle alone, make sure you're struggling alone for the right reasons.
Mhm.
If you're gonna struggle alone, make sure you're struggling alone for the right reasons. Don't do it for a selfish act
Yeah.
because you end up in situations like now you can't take care of everything and you're depending on that ex to do X, Y, and Z. Make sure if you're gonna struggle alone, it's not for selfish reasons.
Mm.
Make sure it's for the child if you're gonna struggle alone. That's not getting into the stubbornness of struggling alone and being a single parent. Make sure it's for the right reason. Make sure it's
Yeah.
for the child and not against the child. And what I mean against the child, meaning, going back and forth with the parent.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of people use child support as a control mechanism as well.
I could agree with
Because
that.
they're no longer in that relationship, so they use that as a control mechanism. Like I was talking to some people the other day, where her ex was complaining about a trip she was taking, saying his
Right.
child support was paying for the trip. The man pays $38 a week. He ain't paying for no trips anywhere.
Stop, D, stop.
But it's just that person has not done any work on themselves, so they
Right,
can't
right.
co-parent effectively. So you
Absolutely.
just hear nonsense, right?
And that's the most important part about, dissolving a relationship, man. Make sure that when you have that conversation, you're having that conversation with her or him.
Hmm.
What's the best interest for the child?
Yeah.
You got to have the conversation about what's the best interest for the child. It's never a good idea to stay in the home. And if you two are not on one accord, it's never a good idea to stay.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. Slash says, so Mr. Tyler Perry is making black exploitation plays and movies that the church crowd supports, buying DVDs and movie tickets, not Oprah's good friends. Huh. So let's talk about Tyler Perry's movie, shall we?
Oh
Let's
my
talk about
God.
the one where it showed the husband dragging the wife out of the house by the hair and having the new girlfriend's clothes put in there. Let's talk about the wigs he puts on his people that he doesn't pay for. Let's talk about how Big Mama's always in trouble and carrying a gun. And every relationship involved around her, there's somebody cheating or somebody dogging somebody out. Like, come on. Where do you see positive relationship in Tyler Perry movies? Tell me, because I ain't seen them.
Here comes Slash again. There you go.
And we want to talk about church folk. Church folk like gossip and dirt more than anybody else. Um,
I think you guys are agreeing here. I
yeah,
think you got go ahead.
some parents are choosing to break up the family structure based on indifference, growing apart, parenting issues, religious beliefs, spending and savings management. Those are not indifference, sir. Those are big issues.
But again, like if you guys could talk about it and get over the hump,
Hmm.
I'd say stay. But if you can't, if you can honestly say that you can get over the hump of the cheat, stay. If you could honestly say that.
Yes, but
But you
here's the
have to
thing. Not just because you're married to somebody doesn't mean you need to stay married to them just because you
I
have a child
agree.
together,
I agree.
right?
But if you're gonna stay, let's keep it a buck. Now, if you're gonna stay, you can't keep bringing that stuff up to
Mm-mm.
the person that cheat. You can't do that. That's
No,
off the table once you say, "Hey, we're gonna work this out." So
most
you
of
can't go back and start piling that stuff back on the table.
most of the
That's a
problems,
flag on a play.
yeah, most of the problems slash mentions are conversations that should have been had before you even got married.
I
Right?
agree.
You have to decide on how you're going to parent your children. You have to decide on the religious belief. You have to decide on the spending and saving. All those are discussions you should have had before you got married.
But everything Slash is talking about, this is what we talk about adult talk. This is the
Mhm.
gumbo talk we talk about as
Yeah,
far as with the relationship. When the relationship hits a bump in the road, now we have to have this adult talk.
yeah.
And the
People
adult
don't.
talk is actually putting the kid first.
Yeah, people don't like having those uncomfortable conversations where they have to admit that they've done something wrong.
Absolutely.
You know? It's
Absolutely.
nothing is ever 100% one-sided, right? In every relationship, there's two sides to the story, and the truth is in the middle somewhere, right? Because
Right, right, right.
we always look at what happened at our own perspective.
Exactly.
So,
So after the infidelity and all that stuff, let's talk about choices of a single parent.
mhm,
Now, once you can get past the infidelity and the cheating and all that stuff, make the right decision, man. Make the right decision before you make that jump. But if
yeah,
you're gonna constantly still be stuck in that situation and you're out of the house and you're still focusing on the cheater, that's not a good thing.
yeah.
That's
Like
not a good thing.
Xavier yesterday went to New York with his father to go to a mental health expo. He got to meet Charlemagne the God. I'm sure we'll
That's
see
good
pictures
stuff.
later. You know,
That's
but
good stuff.
you have to put on your big girl, your big boy undies, and man up and woman up, right?
Now we get
And
into the meat and
yeah,
potatoes.
and you have to sit down and look at who you are, who they are, and have conversations about what is important. How are you going to parent this child? What is best
Exactly.
for the child, right?
Exactly.
And
And that
not everybody
requires
can put their ego aside.
exactly that requires taking your mirror and turning it inward. Dealing with yourself first before you even deal with the parent.
Hmm.
Man, that's good stuff. And
Yeah.
Slash here comes with
Slash
another
says,
one.
Diary of a Mad Black Woman, Daddy's Little Girls, those were worthy masterpieces. Listen, I'm not saying they weren't good movies. I still hate Charles
Wait a minute.
still think she
Wait
should
a
have
minute.
drowned him in the tub. But
I got
they're not good examples of healthy relationships.
I gotta keep it. I gotta keep it a buck with Slash. Slash
Okay?
is poking a bear right now. I'm telling you, I know he is.
Yeah.
Slash is a
Like,
different type of guy who I'm sure he, watched Tyler Perry's movies, but I'm more than sure he's not a big fan of it.
yeah. I've seen
That's the
them.
40-year relationship I have with this guy. So he's poking a bear right now.
Yeah. Tyler Perry movies are my my toxic little secret. Because like I know I love to watch them because even then I will like pull them apart because there's so much negativity in there, and then we're showing that to our kids. Xavier's never seen a Tyler Perry movie, never will, as long as I have control of
Exactly.
what he
I mean,
watches.
to be honest with you, I can't get through a full Tyler Perry movie.
Mm.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's just they're just
I mean,
messy.
maybe hopefully they don't take my black card for that, but I cannot get through a full Tyler Perry movie. I can't.
They're messy. I like. I don't watch reality shows. Tyler Perry's the mess that I watch. You know, why did I get married? 1 and 2, seen both of them. Yeah.
Did you?
Yes, of
Also,
course.
that's your guilty pleasure, the Tyler
Yeah,
Perry movie.
it is because it's trash. But I'm sorry. I watched that. I'm like, man, like
Right.
when in Why Did I Get Married? When uh, Sheila, the side chick, showed up. Like, sir,
But
you
some of
showed
it is
up at the
some of it is not some of it is not living in reality. Some of that stuff is not reality at all. Come on,
It's
man.
messy, man. So messy. But it is. I love Angela. She's my favorite character. Always will be.
Right, right,
So, but you know what? It is. I think sometimes we get so caught up in what we've seen that we're not ready for what we could see.
right.
Right? Like we could have there's a show Raising Dion. He's a superhero, little boy. It's
Hmm.
amazing. I love it. I let Xavier watch that.
Right.
Because there's so many positive role models and positive TV shows that we can. And yes, Tyler Perry will make a lot of money because we like mess. We like drama, especially if it's not our drama.
Right,
You
right,
know?
right.
But he picks some great actors and actresses, and I will support the black actors and actresses. So
Absolutely,
but
absolutely.
I call them exploitation films because they're not positive role models for us,
Exactly.
right? So, but there's and it leads into the stereotypes that black women can't maintain relationships, that were difficult to deal with, that were angry, and all these different stereotypes that are fed out of that.
Right.
So,
Honestly, if you know You gotta keep it a buck. If if a guy is a great communicator,
Hmm.
he can get through all the fluff and the as Demetrius said, the trust and all that stuff. If he's a great communicator, he can get past all that. But you can't just throw it off on a woman and say, "Oh, she's just angry." Let's talk about it. Let's talk about why you feel that way. Let's talk about why you have your walls up. If a guy's a great communicator, he'll be able to get past all that. But if he's just, surface, if he's surface thinking and he's just surface, deep,
Yeah.
it's not gonna work out.
But they could be the greatest communicator of all if they're not communicating to you. It doesn't matter.
That's what I mean. Communicating to the person of interest.
Yeah, because
It's
I tell
slash.
people is how you treat people you don't like is how you really treat people.
One more time.
How you treat people you don't like is how you really treat people,
That's true.
right? So, and when I talk about that, I'm talking about people that you've been in relationships and that you've moved on from. If you still treat them badly 20 years down the road, that's a you
Right.
issue, not a them issue. Right?
Absolutely.
Slash says, nah, not a fan of his Connie's. Had to put my foot down. The movie I sat down with my kids where he made Rudy Huxtable for the streets. I'm not poking Coach D. I'm asking thought provoking questions. Slash, we know you're all right.
So let's go back to my 40-year relationship with this brother. Didn't I tell you before you? I know he's not a fan of him. I've been knowing this guy
Mhm.
40 years.
Yeah.
Good
They're,
stuff. Good stuff.
they're the type of movie if you're having a bad day and you want to see somebody having a worse day.
Yeah.
You
I,
know,
I just can't get through him though. I mean, I just can't get through him.
I wish we had some. I wish we had. I am a sap for romance. I wish we had some like Hallmark movies with a beautiful black love story because that's what I want to see.
Right,
But
right,
there's
right,
not
right.
there's not a lot of that around.
Like that one movie that I cut it off right at that point, right? The Diary of a I
Diary
think
of a Mad Black Woman.
yeah, something like that, where he was dragging her out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
A real black woman. That wouldn't happen like that.
And down. It
The
happens all
brothers would
day.
have been at the crib. The brothers would have been at the crib 2 hours later, giving him his issue. It's just not reality.
That's a
That
reality
wouldn't
of a lot
happen
of
to
people's lives. A
huh?
lot of people. A lot of people suffer in silence. Both men and
Exactly.
women for domestic
Yeah,
abuse. A lot of people suffer in silence,
yeah,
especially men because men don't want to admit that somebody's beating them up.
exactly.
You know?
Slash one more time. Let's see.
Is that Kobe up in the bed? What's really going on?
He's
Yeah,
doing that again. He's doing it again.
he's not doing nothing. He's just up there,
He's laying down.
relaxing.
He's relaxing. He's
Leave
chilling
the
tonight.
yeah, leave the boy alone, man. It's a working dog.
I
They
had a
get to take breaks
conversation with
too.
I had a conversation with him earlier. I told him daddy's gonna work, so he just got up in the bed. Said, "So we're gonna relax." He just hopped in the bed. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it is. But you know what? It's I tell people that whatever you want your children to emulate, you have to emulate it for them. And you have to show it to them in the books that they read, the TV that they watch, the music that they listen to. And Tyler's, the light skinned brothers always save the day, though. As I'm thinking through the movies, I'm like,
you know what? He got a
no,
point.
because the police chief in Why Did I Get Married, he wasn't that light, if I
He
remember
wasn't
correctly.
dark. Look,
They cut it in the middle.
slash. You called his name and look at him.
Mm,
You called his name. Here come trouble.
yeah. Yeah, but that's a whole other. We had that conversation about colorism within the black community too,
Right,
right?
right, right.
White adjacency is better, yada yada yada.
Slash. Do you see what you caused? You see
Kobe,
live
get
TV, folks. So hey, it is.
Kobe, get
Get
down,
down,
sir.
come on, get down, buddy. We're gonna
We're gonna
walk
have
in there.
technical issues in a minute.
I know. Get
But
down,
yeah,
bro.
it's
Get
is
down,
he
buddy.
alerting or is he okay? You're good.
He's okay. He just heard his name call.
Okay.
Yeah,
I always have to double check, make sure he's not alerting. So
yeah, no, he's okay.
you know what it is. We need to create for our children what's been created for the children of other races,
Right, right.
right? So that our children see the same thing that those kids see. Like
And
people,
that's the goal. That is
And
the
people,
goal.
yeah, people tell me they're like, Xavier's such an amazing child. I'm like, yeah, he's raised with the audacity of a mediocre white man and the knowledge of a black man. He is a force to be
Yes,
reckoned with, right?
there it is.
I love lists. Xavier hates lists. So I'll give you an example. I asked him to make him a list for his birthday presents for tomorrow. He gave me a list yesterday. I said, "What if I bought gifts that weren't on the list?" He goes, "Well, I will accept them." And I said, "Well, what if I didn't give you a gift?" He goes, "You would have bought me gifts because I know that you care too much not to." I'm like, man,
Hey, you know what though? He really be finessing you. You love it.
oh yeah, because I'm raising a son no woman will have to heal from.
That's
Right?
good stuff.
That's my
That's good
goal,
stuff.
and that type of parenting looks very different than what you see in Tyler Perry movies.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
I would like to see that emulated in movies so that we can see how to raise our sons so that women don't have to heal from them. Because we don't see
Exactly.
that, right?
So we got about 8 minutes. Let's get to the teachable moment and get to closing. We'll talk about the struggle love. What's your teachable moment for the struggle love?
My teachable moment is that if you cannot communicate, if you cannot seek therapy or counseling, if you're in a relationship where it doesn't work no matter what you try, then move on and find a relationship that does work. Because it's relationships are work, but they're not hard work if you're doing
Right.
it with the person that you should be doing it with,
Exactly.
right?
My teachable moment is if you're gonna stay, make sure you stand for the right reasons.
Hmm.
Don't struggle just to be struggling. You know what I'm saying? Because a
Yeah.
struggle love can hurt the kids.
Hmm.
Struggle love can hurt the kids. And that's the most important thing in the relationship is the kids.
Yeah.
So, and then once you're out of that struggle love, you know, take responsibility for the toxic you bring to your own party.
Hmm. Yeah.
Take responsibility and find that inward mirror and deal with yourself
Yeah.
for the next
Self
relationship.
accountability.
Exactly.
None of us are
Exactly.
perfect, although some people would like to think they are, right?
Exactly.
There's always a common denominator. If every person that you meet is XYZ, it's probably not them. It's probably you.
Boom.
So
That's real talk.
there's not every person is your person, and never settle for somebody just to have a person.
One more time for the people in the back who did not hear that. That was deep.
Not every person is your person, and don't settle for a person just to have a person.
And on that note, folks, we're going to leave it there and we'll see you guys next Sunday because that was a good one. I have nothing else. I have
What are we
nothing
talking about on Wednesday?
I don't know. What you want to talk about?
I don't know, but I was watching some nonsense about Ron DeSantis wearing lifts.
Wait, what?
He wears lifts in his shoes. I'll send you some video.
Send it to me. Let's talk
I'll
about it.
forward you some TikTok. But we could
Let's talk about it. Let's
uh,
record it and talk about it.
yeah, let's talk. Let's talk. I will think about some topics because there's so much going on right
A
now.
whole
It's
bunch of
ridiculous.
stuff. We could actually talk about the speakership and everything. A lot of
Okay.
stuff took
Yeah.
place. So
Yeah.
one second slash one more time. Yeah. Let's see.
That's my guy. He just hasn't heard my voice in a minute. Hashtag good boy. Yeah.
Yep.
Kobe's 100% purebred good boy.
He definitely
And
heard
Slash
slash.
has another good one in the can. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because
appreciate that slash.
because we're an example of people who are better as friends than as a couple. Case in
A
point.
lot of people, a lot of people don't know that we used to, you know, we were together. But yeah, it was a good thing. But we're better together as friends. So
Yeah. So,
Kobe,
all
knock
right.
it off.
Let you
All
go.
right,
Mr.
we're gonna
Man's
go.
gonna
We're
get
gonna
ready
get
for
out of
school
here.
tomorrow, so have a
Oh, he needs to walk as well. So until next week, we'll talk to you guys on the other side of Sunday.
all right. Bye.
Okay.
Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedy Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.